All right, we're back into the pick'em video. It is Wednesday, March 12th in the NBA. We have a nice 9-game slate, so definitely a lot of plays I'm liking on the board right now. Going to walk you through my 4 official plays, have some leans in this one as well, but definitely a lot I'm liking. Obviously, some injury news that we have to take into account, like always. Definitely making some more plays throughout the day. But as of right now, 4 plays I'm really liking. A couple leans in here as well. So that's what we're going to be doing for this one. We are coming off a 3-0 day, so hopefully you guys made some money from yesterday's reads, which were awesome. We're going to walk through the recap. We are going to go through the injury news, any teams on a back-to-back. There's only one, and then we'll get into some plays. So if that sounds cool, go ahead and leave the video a like, comment something down below, and subscribe, of course, if you are new. Let's hop into it. All right, so hopping into the recap of yesterday's plays, we talked about 3 of them. They all cashed pretty easily at the end of the day. They were like no sweats. Some of them did come down to like the wire a little bit, but they all looked good throughout the entire game. Jalen Duren over 26.5 points and rebounds. He ended with 28. Evan Mobley over 25.5 points and rebounds. This is the one that we were looking at and then started bouncing and bumping because some injury news popped up as I was recording the video. It jumped to 28.5. He ended with 30, but going into the fourth quarter again, looked really good, so it wasn't really a sweat there. And then Brook Lopez in that Indiana-Milwaukee game of the night, Tyrese Halliburton, some heroics there. But Brook Lopez was the leading scorer on the Milwaukee Bucks with 23 points. So awesome reads, I think, overall. So hope you guys made some money. And if you did, let me know in the comments down below. I obviously love reading those. And then we'll just go right into the Los Angeles Clippers being the only team on a back-to-back. Usually we have to deal with a couple teams on a back-to-back, but only the Clippers right now. Kawhi Leonard, as of right now, is not on the injury report, but he hasn't played a back-to-back all season, so I would expect him not to play. I wanted to get some Clippers players, but to be honest, the Miami Heat are the ones they're going up against, and I don't love their matchup for a lot of the guys, and they also don't play very well in back-to-backs, that Clippers team, and also just players in general, so probably staying away from that game. But let's hop into the injury news. There's a whole bunch, like always. Charlotte Hornets at the Atlanta Hawks here. We got Okogie and Salon out. Nurkic also game time decision here. We will talk about a Charlotte Hornet in this game going up against Atlanta. Obviously a weaker defense. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this too. So I think Trae Young, I think, is now probable. We just got some news, or at least I just got some on my phone. Trae Young, probable. Karis LeVert, game time decision. Larry Nance is going to be out for this game. And also Capella, I think, just got ruled out. So I'll refresh that as we go through. But definitely some Hawks players that are injured for this one. 8.5 point spread still in favor of Atlanta. OKC Boston game of the night. I wish we were seeing Jalen Williams in this one. J-Dub will be out. AJ Mitchell also out for this one. And they're going to be at Boston. 2.5 point spread in favor of Boston. We got Jaylen Brown and Tatum on the game time decision report here, or injury report. I think they'll both end up playing this game. Tatum sat out last game, and Jaylen Brown's probable. I assume they're going to be healthy and ready to go. Porzingis continues to have some crazy illness that's kept him out the past 2 weeks. He should be recovering, but he's going to be a doubtful tag for this one also. For Philadelphia and Toronto, we have Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond game time decisions. Honestly, I didn't even look at this game. You can see the injury report. No Paul George, no Lowry, no Maxey. No Embiid for the Philadelphia 76ers. Toronto side of things, no Grady Dick, no RJ Barrett, no Quickly. Scotty Barnes kind of the only guy there. Jakob Poeltl looks like he'll be in there. I guess Scotty Barnes also in the game time decision now. But Jakob Poeltl, a guy that's been pulled off the court when they're going to win games, is a team that's hard to predict right now. So I totally stayed away from this game. Philadelphia and Houston, we got Grayson Allen and Morris game time decisions, but doubtful. For the Houston side of things, Fred VanVleet looking like he's going to be a probable tag here. But obviously the big news, Amen Thompson still out with that ankle injury. He's going to be out for another week or two. For the Los Angeles Clippers and the Miami Heat, we got Seth Lundy, Norman Powell, Ben Simmons all out for this team. Kawhi is now a game time decision. He wasn't on there a little bit ago, but I doubt he will play this game, to be totally honest. And again, I wish I could go to some guys in the Clippers, but they're at a back-to-back. I wanted to look at Harden's under, to be totally honest, but then I started realizing Kawhi's probably not going to play, and he doesn't play very well in back-to-backs, probably staying away from the Clippers team. Maybe go to some of these bench guys that might get a little bit more minutes if Kawhi doesn't play. I'd like to see the projected minutes when Kawhi's ruled out, because I don't think he's going to play. Maybe a guy like Bogdanovich, Derrick Jones Jr., but again, this Miami Heat defense is not a good matchup for a lot of these guys. On the Miami Heat side of things, we got Rozier, probable tag, Jovic still out, Alec Burks going to be a game time decision. For Dallas, we got Dante Exum, PJ Washington game time decisions. I was not really looking at this Dallas team, to be totally honest. The only guy I would look at in this game would probably be Chris Paul, because you can see his projected minutes are low. 26, it was at 25 a little bit ago. He's kind of been losing some minutes. This was a close game. They played each other a few days ago, and he only played 22 minutes. Chris Paul, definitely a lean on an under, probably rebounds and assists is something I would want to be looking into. De'Aaron Fox obviously playing injured. This is a weird game also. But yeah, that's a ton of injuries. Lively, Hardy, Gafford, AD obviously all out for the Dallas Mavericks, and of course Kyrie out for the season. And then for the San Antonio side of things, Charles Bassey still out for this team. We've seen that whole bunch. Devin Vassell and Sohan also game time decisions. For Utah and Memphis, we got Lauri Markkanen game time decision, Clarkson game time decision, and Keontae George out. So it looks like John Collins, Walker Kessler should be ready to go, Colin Sexton. And then Memphis side of things, we got Zach Edey game time decision, no Santi Aldama, no Jaren Jackson Jr. So obviously some big guys losing some time now for the last few games. Looks like Gigi Jackson, 15 minutes. Vince Williams is playing a decent amount of time with those guys out as well. For Minnesota and Denver, we got Rudy Gobert, still a game time decision. He did return. I don't know if he's going to play in this one, but he only played 20 minutes. So, if he does play, I assume his minutes will be low. They're projecting 29 minutes. I don't know if we're going to get that much if he even does play. Then for the Denver side of things, Jokic and Murray game time decision. Aaron Gordon is going to be a doubtful tag, and then Strother also out. For the New York Knicks and the Portland Trailblazers, we got Jalen Brunson still out with that ankle injury. And then for the Portland side of things, no Ayton. He's missed a whole bunch of games. Robert Williams is pretty much always a game time decision and then ends up not playing, but it looks like he's a true game time decision. Jeremy Grant also doubtful. The Blazers are not going to force guys to play. They're not really playing for this year at this point. Projected minutes for this team, Denny Avdia, a guy that I always like to look at, but he's another guy that likes to get injured and leave games early. Anthony Simons also projected for a whole lot of minutes, and Tumani Kamara, Shaden Sharp, kind of those main guys for the Portland side of things. So that's the injury report. Whole bunch of games, whole bunch of injuries like always. Hopefully you guys got some sort of value or some sort of information from this. I always like to point it out, and I know a lot of you guys appreciate that. So let's get in some plays now. Again, 4 I'm really liking, and a couple of leans we'll talk about as well. All right, so jumping into our first play here, we're going to be using a tool called Props Madness like we always do. If you're watching this video and you're like, I got to try this thing out, you can definitely go ahead and do that using my link in the description down below. You can use code RICH. You're going to get a free week trial, and then you're also going to get 25% off your first month or your first year. And yes, they do have WNBA. You're going to see that's not just, oh, this team gives up a lot of points. This team gives up a lot of assists, rebounds, whatever it might be. They have the in-depth analysis on how certain players score the ball, how these defenses rank up against that, how these guys shoot the ball, where they shoot the ball, how defenses rank against that. You can go into all these different filters and see the hit rates on certain types of teams, similar types of matchups, and also similar types of players and how they've done. So it'll give you so much information. It's the best research tool out there for NBA and WNBA, 100%. Absolutely check it out. Props Madness is awesome. You're going to see it throughout this video. So Mark Williams is our first play of the video. Points and assists at 18.5. I'm going to address the red down here because he's obviously in a different situation. Nick Richards isn't on this team. He's not playing 19 minutes, 19 minutes, 17 minutes, 17 minutes. That's a thing of the past. Recently, you can see the uptick in this blue line. That's the minutes line right now. A ton of minutes, 29, 24, 31, 34, 31, 25. 21 is the lowest I can find recently, but all these other games, much more than 20 minutes. So I'm just going to go ahead and take away those games that he's playing less than 20 minutes. It's definitely a thing in the past. I'm going to be very conservative and just do 20 plus minutes here. I think we're getting a little bit better value and hit rate chart based on this. So now it's a 50% hit rate, but this is a really weak matchup for him. He scores a lot of his points in the paint. 79% of his shots come down there. The Hawks are ranked 26th in terms of defending that. He also gets a lot of his points from cutting. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of data on cutting and what's established as a cut, but he does score a lot of his points there. We don't know the defense there, but the weak defense from the Hawks goes into hand-in-hand with that. The main thing I'll look at here is the pick-and-roll big man, which is going to go hand-in-hand with the restricted area defense. It's a great matchup for him to score the ball, and when he sees these good matchups, he sees a lot more time on the floor. So yes, we're going to 20 to 36 minutes. He's projected for 29. I think he could see more time on the floor, especially if he's getting a really good matchup, staying out of foul trouble and things like that. So let's go into the advanced filters. First thing we did was the minutes. Next thing I want to look at is this pick-and-roll big man. That's going to be his main source of scoring. I guess we could do the restricted area. That's his main spot to score the ball. Again, 79% of his shots come from there. Let's get rid of those bad matchups for him and go to the bottom 15 teams in terms of defending that restricted area defense. Now this jumps to a 61.5% hit rate, and his minutes per game jumped to 30.5. So again, good matchups. Mark Williams is on the floor a little bit more, projected for 29 minutes today. Again, I think he could see a little bit more than that. And let's not stop there. Pick and roll big man defense. I want to see weak defenses against that because they're, again, ranked 26th in that one as well. Knock out those top 10, 15 teams. Now we're seeing literally a 100% hit rate, 7-7, and you can see the minutes now jump to an average of 31.6, which is also why I'm putting in these assists. When he's on the floor a little bit longer, he can definitely chip in with some assists, and you can see his main sources of getting assists 41% above the break threes, 22nd ranked in terms of allowing assists up there. 16% of assists come at the rim, 28th ranked there. So it is a pretty good spot for him to get some assists. Obviously, the scoring will go ahead and carry this line, but he did miss this once against the Wizards in this amount of time with these filters. So chipping in with those assists, we're going to get a 100% hit rate. I think he stays on the floor a whole bunch, 31 minutes on average in these types of matchups. And I think we could see that again from our boy Mark here. So I think he's in a great spot. Obviously, a hit rate is awesome when you see these similar types of matchups. I think you can see a whole bunch of time on the floor. Similar types of players have done it against him. He's been playing pretty well recently. I like the points. I like the assists. Mark Williams stay on the floor for us, 18.5. I think he gets there for us. And then I might as well point out the rebounds because you can also obviously rebound the ball extremely well. I was looking at his PRA, which he's cashing all these. But looking at the rebounds specifically to this Hawks team, I don't like similar types of players only hitting in 5 of 14 games. You can see by position, 27% of centers are going over their lines. So yes, obviously he can grab some boards, but not maybe the best matchup for boards. That's why I'm kind of landing on the points and assists here for. Moving to our next play here, it's going to be Derrick White for the Boston Celtics over his 14.5 points. Obviously, he's been able to cash this a whole bunch lately. And if you look at the entire year, I can show that. He was able to do this a ton at the beginning of the year, then had a pretty big lull. I still think he was dealing with an injury. His minutes were a little bit lower, 21 minutes here, 27 minutes here. He was losing some minutes. He wasn't shooting well. He's in a slump. I think he was injured and dealing with something. He's definitely been back on track. And we have some injury news for the Celtics. No Porzingis probably today. He's going to be doubtful tag for this team. So we got a playoff-like atmosphere. No J-Dub in this team also is going to be another good defender off the floor for the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Celtics are home here, and they are a 2.5-point spread. So I think he's going to get a whole bunch of time on the floor. He's projected for 34 minutes. If this thing's relatively close, we could see 40 minutes from a guy like Derrick White in a situation like this. So I want to look at games that he's going up against teams and playing that much minutes because, again, he was losing some minutes here when he was injured and not playing very well. I want to see games he's playing 30-plus minutes, and I'll even make this get rid of those 43 minutes games. So 30 to 40 minutes. This is a 73% hit rate. Obviously, Derrick White in a really good position here to be able to score the ball on anyone. But you can see the matchup, not the best in the world. If you can see similar types of players not going over, including Derrick White himself. But no J-Dub here, and they're also weak against spot-up shooting, and no Porzingis in the lineup. So Derrick White really going to be that main spot-up guy, 25th ranked in terms of spot-up shooting. So that's the main thing I want to look at here. Porzingis not being in the lineup, you can see right here, game time decision, 75% of hit rate in this amount of minutes without Porzingis on the floor. And then the last thing I'd look at is that scoring, the matchup here for him. The spot-up shooting, yes, they're good above the break, but the spot-up shooting where Derrick White's getting most of his shots, we're going to see, bottom half of the league, or bottom third of the league, they're ranked 25th. How about 4 of 4 games he's gone over this against the Nuggets, against the Heat, against the Golden State Warriors, and against the Hawks. So some good defenses in there as well. Obviously the Thunder, one of the best defenses, but no J-Dub I think does hurt them. I think Derrick White going to step up in a similar type of spot like he did in the playoffs last year. If you want to look at the playoffs last year, he can win over this in 58% of games. Obviously against the Cavs, maybe struggle a little bit more, but a lot of games the Celtics played last year were huge blowout situations. They were losing by a lot. They were winning by a lot. So the minutes were sporadic for a little bit, but he's definitely a guy that likes to step up in the playoffs. Home game in the playoffs, he was over in 83.3% of them, 5 of 6 games. So I think we're going to see the home crowd show up for Celtics tonight. Maybe I'll even go to the game. I'm not sure just yet, but definitely a guy that can step it up even without the playoffs in the picture here. He's been able to hit this in a ton of straight games. Yes, he didn't get there in the last game against them, but he shot 2 of 11 from 3 without Porzingis lineup. I think he sees similar type of volume, maybe not 11 of them, but if he can knock down 3 or 4 threes, that'd be great for us. This 14.5 line just seems a little bit too low. Yes, this guy struggled a little bit more. Yes, he kind of creeps over sometimes, but he steps up in big spots. Derrick White over 14.5 points in a weak spot-up defense. I think this is a good spot for him. So jumping to our third play of the video, it's going to be Dillon Brooks here at 13.5 points. Last 29 games, he's over in 44.8%, but obviously the big news here is no Amen Thompson. We'll check that out in a second. First of all, I'm going to look at the matchup here. 27th ranked in terms of above the break threes. That's where 44% of his shots come from. He can also score interiorly from the corners, whatever it might be. This Suns defense just isn't good overall. You can see their defensive rating, 27th in the league. So very weak defense here. They got great offensive players, very weak defense. Now, the only thing that they are pretty good at is spot-up defense. They're ranked 6th there, but even so, we're going to look at the hit rate of Dillon Brooks when he's going up against pretty good spot-up defenses, and it doesn't seem to affect him. It actually seems to go up in terms of his hit rate. So that's something that doesn't scare me all too much. But why am I liking Dillon Brooks? Obviously, the head-to-head matchup. He's played these guys once before. He had 18 points, and he shot 5 of 13, so was still only shooting 38%, which you could expect a little bit more from what I would think today. The next thing I'd say is Amin Thompson's out of the lineup here. Fred VanVleet, probable tag, but Amin Thompson out of the lineup. He's over in the 3 of 4 games without Amin Thompson in the lineup, crushing this line in a lot of them. The one game he missed was against the Celtics. They lost this game by 23. Played 30 minutes, but he only shot 31%. Obviously, a much more difficult defense than what he's got going on tonight. So the games without Amin Thompson, also a very good data point here. So the next thing I want to point out is his minutes, how many minutes he's going to be playing. He's projected for 32 minutes, but he's definitely a guy that can see a little bit more time on the floor. A lot of these games, 37 minutes, 25 minutes, but that was a 29-point blowout against the Pelicans. I also want to point to this data point again because this was a game without Amin Thompson, this Magic game, which is a very, very good defense above the break. Interiorly, they're one of the best defenses in the league. And he shot 21 times in that game. He only shot 33%, but still had 17 points. So I'm loving these data points. He's projected for 32. I could see more than that. I think he's almost a shoo-in for 30-plus minutes unless some blowout happens, which can happen in the NBA, but I don't expect it today. You can see it's a 4.5-point spread. Now this jumps to a 51% hit rate over this line, so looking a little bit better. But now I want to look at the matchup we got going on here. Again, 27th in terms of above the break threes. If we look at matchups that he's seeing, the bottom 15 in the league, this jumps to a 52% hit rate. The next thing I want to look at is how many shots he's going to get. He's been getting a ton of shots without Amin Thompson in the lineup. I think he's averaging like 15 or 16 shot attempts the last 2 games without Amin Thompson. So more recently, he's had 21 and 18 field goal attempts. But if you go to field goals attempted, you can see that he is, I think it's like 13 or something on Dabble. It's like the only book that has it right now, if I can remember his name. Dillon Brooks, yeah, they got him at 13. I'd expect, that or more today, and that's what he's just been doing recently. So field goals attempted, if you want to take a look into that, and just see, let's say, let's go right in the middle, 12 to, 14 shot attempts. Now he's over in 55% of games. If you start boosting this up, obviously 61% hit rate. If he's going to get 18 shots, 64% hit rate. So the hit rate on this when he's getting the time in a similar matchup to this, looking pretty good. Taking away those field goals, addressing the elephant in the room here, good spot up defense. The reason I'm kind of brushing over that is because when you look at good spot up defenses with the bad above the break 3 defense, he's over this and again, I'm knocking out the bottom 15 teams in terms of spot up defense. He's now over this in 63% of games. So the hit rate actually goes up. So it doesn't scare me all too much that they're good spot up defense. I just think Dillon Brooks going to be a little bit more involved here. We've seen him go over against this Suns team before. He's got a great matchup to score the ball. No Amin Thompson in the lineup, potentially Fred VanVleet in the lineup. So I don't expect him to play a ton of time as he's dealing with some sort of injury, but also a guy that can set Dillon Brooks up for some scoring. There's not a whole lot of data to point to in games with Fred VanVleet and without Amin Thompson in the lineup, but in 2 of the 3 games, he's gone over this pretty handily. The one game he missed was the defense that's ranked 5th overall in defensive rating. Now he's going up against a team that's ranked 27th in defensive rating. So I think he's in a good spot here. I think he's going to get the volume. They're playing at home. I don't think there's a whole lot of blowout potential, which I think he could see 30 to 35, 40 minutes if this one stays relatively close. He's done it against them already. He's in a pretty good spot to score the ball in terms of how he scores the ball. Dillon Brooks, kind of a hit or miss guy, but I definitely like him in this spot. Maybe I didn't explain Dillon Brooks' line all too well in this one, but I'll leave you with this. In the amount of time I think he's going to get, projected for 32, could get more in a closer game, 30 to 41 minutes here, and against defensive rankings that are 20th to 30th, so pretty much just bad defenses. We got the Suns defense ranking 27th here, and then with those field goals attempted, with at least 12 field goals attempted, he's been getting a whole bunch of shots. He's over this in 85% of games. So if he doesn't shoot the ball, if he doesn't shoot extremely well, he might not get this. He's definitely a hit or miss player, but I do like his potential to go over this line much more than under. And I still have one more official play to talk through and also maybe a lean or two to go through, but we're going to get to the DG Fantasy Slip of the Day. If you want to check out Daily Grind Fantasy, use my link in the description down below. You're going to get 25% off your first month using code RICH. And it's an awesome tool, and I like to point that out. We've done this now 4 times. We've cashed 2 of them. These aren't, minus 120 plays or whatever it is. We're looking at like plus 500 parlays or better. So we're going to be looking at an underdog slip today. If you don't know what this is, it's pretty much showing us market value. There's no hit rates or anything attached to it, but it's just basing it off of, hey, where does FanDuel, DraftKings, where does BetMGM have all these guys' lines? And then where does other books have their lines? And they're saying, hey, market value-wise, this book's too high or too low. And these books obviously know what they're doing. They're billion-dollar companies, some of them are. They set their lines. They have a ton of different data. They've got a very, very smart people setting these lines, and they know what they're doing. So they got almost the most, probably the most, not even a question, the most research out there to set their lines. And if everyone else is saying something else and one other book is like, I'm thinking a different way, I'm going to side with the majority, the market value, and that's what this tool kind of does. So you can go to all these different DFS platforms. It's integrated with all of them. You can just take the top plays you're seeing on there. You're going to have a very, very good mathematical edge. Some people only bet this way. You can make slips extremely fast and easy, and you're getting a good mathematical edge, positive EV type of play, and that's what Daily Grind Fantasy does for us. So we've done this 4 times in the last 4 videos, and we've hit 2 of our plus 500 plays. So pretty awesome hit rate there overall. Again, you can see the power of it. You don't have to do research on it. You just see, hey, what is this percent odds to hit? What are they saying under? I'm going to go ahead and take that with pretty good confidence. So that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to make an underdog slip, and then we'll get back to you in a second. All right, so I lied. I didn't love the underdog value right now, so I ended up changing and doing a Dabble slip. If you're not on Dabble, go ahead and use code RICHDFS. There's also a link down below if you want to sign up for Dabble. You get $10 just for signing up. Use my code. You also get a wheel of something, so you get some sort of other free money using Dabble. So definitely sign up using code RICHDFS. If you do that, let me know in the comments down below, or hit me up in the DMs of my Discord and say, hey, I used your code, and I'll get you into the free month of the Discord. But here's the Dabble slip I came up with. Scotty Barnes under 29.5 points and rebounds. Tyler Hero over 4.5 boards. Logan Cooley 0.5 points on the over. This is an NHL play. Why did I do this? Well, it's because they're all very, very good market value. I made it like that, just looking at DG Fantasy and going off some of the top plays. And yeah, that's how easy it can be. So Dabble, 6x slip here, 3-man. That's an awesome return, plus 500. Check out Dabble. Obviously, check out DG Fantasy. That's why we looked at these plays anyway. All the links in the description down below for some sort of perk, and it's a great way to support the channel. But here's a 3-man for today's DG Fantasy slip of the day. Moving to our final official play of the video, it's going to be Chris Paul, and I'm going to be fading his 11.5 rebounds and assists line here. Obviously, has not been hitting this lately, and I think that's due to the minutes he's been getting. Has not been getting a ton of time. 22 minutes here, 25 minutes here, 28 minutes. He also played this Dallas Mavericks team a few days ago, and he had 11, so ended on the hook. But you also see the potential assists there. He had 9 potential assists and converted on all of them. So that's a very, very high conversion, and that doesn't happen very often. So that could be even lower if he doesn't convert literally every single one of his assists. But why am I liking this rebounds assists? Well, he's projected for 26 minutes in this game. That's obviously low compared to what he's been getting for the entire season. In games that he's seeing, let's say, 22 to 28 minutes or something like that, only over this in 26% of games. If you go to games without Porzingis in that much time, he's under in every single game, hasn't gone over in 8 games in that amount of time without Wemby on the court. They're in kind of tank mode. They're not really looking at towards the playoffs. De'Aaron Fox doesn't look great. He looks injured. They're definitely ready for next year. Why run Chris Paul into the ground when you don't need to? Going up against a weaker Dallas Mavericks team, this is a 6.5 point spread in favor of the Spurs. So maybe, we don't hope for blowouts a lot, but if this is a blowout, I don't mind that either. That's just going to be less minutes for Chris Paul. Not going to spend too much time on this one because it kind of speaks for itself. I just don't think he's going to get that much time on the court. And again, if he goes out there and converts every single one of his potential assists, maybe he creeps over this line, but I don't see him, crushing this line at all. Definitely a favor on the under 11.5. If you find this at 10.5, I'd honestly still play it there. He'd be over in only one game. That was against the Dallas Mavericks, but again, the conversion rate on the 9 potential assists and getting 9 assists, that doesn't happen too often. So Chris Paul fading the point god, 11.5 rebounds and assists. And then going over a quick lean here, Nikola Jokic over 22.5 rebounds and assists. I'm looking at this one as a lean just because he doesn't have a great history against this Timberwolves team. I don't know if Gobert is going to play, and even if he does play, I don't think he's going to get that much time. So I do like this a little bit. Even dating back to last year, he doesn't have a great history going over this line, but obviously he's just been a beast lately. If you look at games without Aaron Gordon, who's currently a game time decision but doubtful, you can see he's over this in 71% of games. So I don't know if he's going to get a triple-double, but I think he could definitely get some rebounds, especially if Gobert's not playing or limited. I like his assist potential in this one. Jokic, fun to go to anyway, 22.5 rebounds, assists. Definitely a solid lean here. So I think that's going to do it for this one. We talked about 4 official plays. We talked about a solid lean. We talked about the DG Fantasy slip of the day. But to recap all the main bets, we talked about Mark Williams over 18.5 points and assists. Derrick White over 14.5 points. Now, I did just see that Porzingis is doing shoot-arounds right now. That came out after I did the whole breakdown of Derrick White's points. But still, at 14.5, maybe it even drops a little bit if Porzingis does end up playing. I still like it. I think I'm going to ride with it. I did the whole research on it. Obviously, a difficult defense in the OKC Thunder, but the Celtics are home. The Celtics are also going to be playing this probably as a game they want to win. They're not going to probably catch the Cavs, but they don't want the Knicks to catch them in the standings. All these games matter to them, and they lost last game. They played the OKC Thunder, so no J-Dub in this one. That's a little bit of a knock on their defense, I think, potentially, especially for a guy that might guard Derrick White. So 14.5 points for a guy that he might play with Porzingis. I don't think it affects him all too much. So sticking with my guns there on that Derrick White line. Obviously, if Porzingis doesn't play, I'm loving it. If he does play, I still like it though. Chris Paul under 10.5 or 11.5 rebounds and assists, wherever you find it. It might be down to 10.5 when you find it, but I still like fading Chris Paul today. And then Dylan Brooks over his 13.5 points. Also another play for us. The lead, it's right on the screen here, but Nikola Jokic over 22.5 rebounds and assists to kind of round out the video here. So that's going to do it for us. Definitely check out the links in the description down below. If you want access to all my plays, you can get access, join the Discord. There's plenty of different ways to get in for free. Signing up for all my different DFS platform partners, PrizePicks, Underdog, Sleeper, Dabble. We gave out a Dabble slip today if you want to use that. It's code RichPicks on a lot of them. It's code Rich on some of them. It's code RichDFS on Dabble. So just make sure you use the link or just make sure you get the right code and get a screenshot so I can get you a free month of that Discord. Also, check out Props Madness. We used it throughout the entire video. We use it every single day. It's awesome. It's the best tool out there for data research and matchup research and things like that. And then of course, check out DG Fantasy if you want to get quick slips, right to you very easily, mathematical edges. This is the place to do it, especially if you're on DFS platforms. Check out GG Fantasy using my link in the description down below. You're going to get 25% off your first month. But that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Go Celtics. Should be a fun game. Couple good games tonight. So it could be a fun day to watch some basketball. And yeah, good luck with all your bets. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.